Most of us have dreamed of being a spy when we were kids, and mostly because of James Bond. Well, there's no doubt that spies look uber cool on the screen, and when it comes to the real world, there are many intelligence agencies in the world who have thwarted many threats through their timely actions. Here's a list of some of the top intelligence agencies in the world. Number 10. Mossad. Arguably the best secret intelligence agency in the world, Mossad is the National Intelligence Agency of Israel, and its importance can be gauged from the fact that it is exempt from basic laws of Israel, unlike the government and the military. The main responsibilities of Mossad include intelligence collection, covert operations, and counterterrorism. Sounds awesomely cool, right? There's more. The only person above Mossad's director is the Prime Minister of Israel himself, and its secret procedures have never been published. Mossad became a household name after Operation Wrath of God, which was basically seeking revenge for the killing of 12 Israeli athletes during the 1972 Munich Olympics. The terrorist group Black September, which was responsible for the killings, suffered blows after blows as the world celebrated the righteous retribution of Mossad. The list of Mossad's operations are endless, including the abduction of Nazi leader Adolf Eichmann, Operation Plumbot, and Beirut bombings. When it comes to being badass, no one does it better than Mossad. Number 9. ISI. Pakistan's most important intelligence agency, the Inter-Services Intelligence, known popularly as the ISI, is a very powerful entity which is credited with running the entire country along with its army. The ISI rose to fame in the 1980s when it lent its support to the Afghani Mujahideen against the Soviet Union in the Soviet-Afghan War. Along with the CIA, the ISI was responsible for the fall of the Soviet Union. The ISI is known for being a well-funded organization which has a lot of agents in the field along with diplomatic missions and collection of sensitive intelligence. In fact, it has been described as the top intelligence agency in the world by the International Business Times in 2011. The capture of Ramzi Youssef, a conspirator in the 1993 WTC bombing, and Abu Zubaydah, an al-Qaeda operative, are some of the most famous ISI operations. Although recently there have been claims of ISI being infiltrated by the Taliban and supporting terrorist operations, they are still one of the best secret agencies. Number 8. GRU. While KGB was a dreaded name all over the world because of its efficiency, the GRU, Russia's primary intelligence agency today, is not much different. Officially known as the Main Intelligence Directorate, the GRU came into prominence after the fall of the Soviet Union and is one of the primary reasons behind Russia's resurgence in the political affairs of the world. It is a huge entity and commanded 25,000 Spetsnaz troops in 1997, along with employing almost 6 times the number of agents in foreign countries when compared to the KGB. It is a really old agency, having been established in 1810 under the Tsar. It is responsible for gathering human intelligence and gives them the support of high-end surveillance, along with maintaining significant signals intelligence, or SIGINT, for which they have deployed almost 130 satellites. Talk about high-tech spy work, right? The Prague Spring crackdown, hijacking a helicopter in a secret US airbase in Cambodia, and the assault on the Tajbed Palace in Afghanistan are some of the most daring operations of this spy agency. Number 7. MI6. Well, who hasn't heard of them? If there was a spy agency which almost everyone knows about, it's MI6. Thanks to the accomplishments of James Bond on the screen over many decades, MI6 is to the spy world what Michael Jackson is to the world of pop. It was founded in 1909 in London, and many consider its efficiency to be the reason behind the successes of the British Empire. In fact, when Hitler was rampaging all across Europe, MI6 was the main reason he was never able to invade England. It's responsible of UK's national security when it comes to threats from overseas dangers. The MI6 chief is responsible to the Foreign Secretary of England and essays the roles of counterterrorism and counterproliferation. If you ever fancy a visit, do go to the SIS building on the south bank of the River Thames, although it's more than likely that you'll not be allowed to enter. Some of their most famous exploits include the thwarting of an operation to overthrow the Bolshevik government after the First World War, interception and decryption of foreign communications during the Second World War, and the 1953 Iranian coup. Number 6. RAW. The Research and Analysis Wing, or RAW, is India's intelligence agency dealing with external threats. Being surrounded by Pakistan on one side and China on the other side, RAW is responsible for monitoring the actions on our borders. It was established in 1968 after the failures of Sino-Indian and Indo-Pakistani wars and plays an active role in countering the terrorist threats to India. It's under the direct command of the Prime Minister of India and works actively to limit the supply of arms to Pakistan-based terrorist organizations. The biggest achievements of RA were the creation of Bangladesh, Operation Smiling Buddha, which tested nuclear weapons in secret, Operation Kahuta, which uncovered Pakistan's nuclear program, and Operation Meghdoot, which thwarted a Pakistani insurgents in Siachen. That sure is some long list of achievements. Number 5. BND. Germans are known for their efficiency, and the BND is a prime example of that. The Federal Intelligence Service, or BND, is Germany's foreign intelligence agency, and their surveillance system is perhaps the best in the world. They are responsible for the gathering of intelligence, and their timely warnings have helped Germany eliminate many dangers. It has setups in over 300 locations around the world, and it was formed in 1956 as part of West Germany. The BND has many successful and daring operations to its credit, like the 1986 deciphering of Libyan bombings in East Germany, the Titan list, which named Finns who were believed to be in a league with Stasi, and the mediation between Israel and Hezbollah to secure the exchange of prisoners. The BND reportedly stores over 220 million sets of metadata every day, monitoring phone and message exchanges. In fact, when it comes to intel from the Middle East and Latin America, no one even comes close to the BND. Number 4. DGSE. The Directorate General for External Security is France's agency to deal with external threats and affairs. It is considered one of the best in the world, and considering that it was founded pretty recently in 1982, that is a serious reputation to gather. Known for keeping a low profile and working very closely with the French police force, DGSE has been responsible for making many threats, from the Algerian and Arab terrorist groups disappear. And considering that France is the target for many terrorist groups around the world, the French government diverts a lot of its revenue in keeping the DGSE functioning at optimal levels. It was responsible for spreading disinformation during the Rwandan Civil War, which led to increased French participation, Operation Satanic, which prevented Greenpeace protests against French nuclear testing, and liberating 2 journalists who were held captive in Iraq for 124 days. Well, the French have a way of saying things in a very fashionable manner, and DGSE is their way of saying watch out to any terrorist organization. Number 3. ASIS. The Australian Secret Intelligence Service, or ASIS, is perhaps one name you would not have thought to be on this list. After all, Australia isn't really a very prominent name in world politics. But as it turns out, their intelligence agency is still one of the best in the business. It was formed in 1952 and remained a secret even within the government till 1972. It's responsible mainly for planning and conducting special operations to obtain and distribute secret intelligence with basic interests centered in Asia and Pacific regions. ASIS has seen its fair share of controversy, saying that it's an out-of-control organization, but well, that's what spies are known for, right? Number 2. CIA. Now this is an agency that is well known, perhaps throughout the world, despite being a secret agency. But when all is said and done, the success of America has to be credited in part to its premier intelligence agency, the Central Investigation Agency. The CIA focuses only on overseas intelligence gathering, and it's the only agency in the US that's authorized to carry out a covert operation at the behest of the president. Post the 9/11 attacks, the role of CIA has increased globally, with human intelligence assets in almost every country today. And while most of the infamous stories involving a secret agency, the Watergate scandal, belongs to the CIA, there is no doubt that there are many instances where it has played a crucial role in eliminating threats. The one that springs to mind at first is the killing of Osama bin Laden in Pakistan. But there are also many other operations where the CIA has played a hand, including the regime changes in Vietnam, Afghanistan, Bolivia, Panama, the overthrowing of Iran and Chile in 1953 and 1973, and perhaps the most important operation that the CIA carried out was in Afghanistan, where it supported anti-Soviet rebellions and eventually led to the breaking down of the Soviet Union. And while the list of CIA controversies is equally long, with some believing that it played a hand in the assassination of JFK as well, there's no doubt that CIA is one of the premier intelligence agencies in the world. Number 1. MSS. The Ministry of State Security, or MSS, is China's intelligence agency and security agency. It was set up in 1983 and was responsible for counterintelligence, foreign intelligence, and political security. It's perhaps one of the few agencies which is responsible for both internal and external intelligence matters. It's been very actively curbing any anti-communist and anti-government revolts, and is one of the primary focuses behind the strength and popularity of the Communist Party. One of its major roles is supposedly to filter the internet content to keep the Chinese people in the dark about what's going on outside the country. The MSS operates all over the world, and the FBI estimated that 3,000 companies in the US act as a front for the MSS. These were some of the best spy agencies in the world, And if you feel like doing spy stuff for a living, you might want to apply to some of these. And well, even though some of them have been linked with controversies over the years, they really do help us sleep better at night.